I want you to think about your earliest memory of fear. Do you remember a fear you had when you were very little, maybe 2, 3, 4 years old? If you ask me, my earliest memory of fear goes all the way back to when I was 3 years old. And I still remember how terrified I was to walk down the aisle. Not as the bride, but as the flower girl, of course. You would assume that a 3-year-old girl would be delighted to wear a big white puffy dress, just like the bride, and throw petals everywhere, right? Not me. I was afraid to walk by myself and not be able to find my mom at the end of the aisle. So at the age of 7, my parents had a hunch that my shyness was not necessarily emotional. So they took me to the doctor and they found out that I couldn't see, like at all. I needed glasses. And for 7 years, they didn't realize this. Thank you, Mom. So that's why I was so terrified to leave my mom's side at weddings, birthday parties, you name it. My comfort zone was defined by a 10-foot radius circle that surrounded my mom or my dad. But the truth is that we all have a comfort zone, and we know it pretty well because we live there most of the times. We know exactly where it starts and where it ends, and they are unique to each individual, just like your personality or your body is. So the things that are uncomfortable to me may be things that you can easily do, like eating an oyster. I don't know if you've tried one of those. I did the other day, and then I couldn't, and then I had to spit it out. It was horrible. And they're so expensive that I had to try the same one over and over again. You cannot waste one of those. What? But the good news is that comfort zones can change from one day to the other. They can expand as we face our fears or contract as we limit ourselves. So I started to write down semi-ambitious things that I thought could make me happy 10 years from that day. I wrote down things like, in 10 years, after working for the best companies in New York, I finally become an entrepreneur. I'm working with Adam, my husband, on developing this thing, whatever it is, but we travel a lot together for work and we love it. And we're being invited to speak at companies and events about our accomplishments. And finally, we're buying our first apartment in Manhattan. So I wrote my plan in April of 2015. And this is what happened next. In July of that same year, I quit my job in advertising to start my own movement. In October, I gave my first TEDx talk. And shortly after, I started receiving invitations to speak at schools, companies, events, and organizations around the world. In July of the following year, Adam quit his job in finance to join me full-time in developing our business. And then a year later, we bought this beautiful apartment in the Lower East Side in Manhattan. I'm kidding, guys. This is not my apartment. Are you kidding? I wish. This is actually Uma Thurman's apartment. It's so nice. Besides the apartment, I accomplished most of the things that I wrote down in a matter of months. I embarked on a project that changed my life for good. It is called the 100-Day Project. Choose one thing that you want to do repeatedly for 100 days in a row. I decided to become a braver person. This is the perfect opportunity for me to go after my fears, right? Tackle 100 of those, from the smallest things that were limiting my everyday life to fears I never thought I would be able to conquer. I experienced what living life to the fullest actually feels like. In order to feel good about ourselves, we limit our growth. We hold ourselves back from taking risks, from trying new things or venturing into the unknown, because we know failing is a possibility, one that we don't want to be held accountable for. But after embracing this new lifestyle, where daring is now my first choice, what I learned is that the enemy of success is not failure. It's actually comfort. Comfort is what keeps us from innovating. It convinces us to keep doing things the same way we've always done it, right? It begs us to watch one more episode instead of facing the blank page on our book. Life will always give us options. Some will take us back into our comfort zone, others will challenge us but help us grow. The important thing is to identify which one is the growth choice and choose that one, despite the fear that it may bring. In fact, that's the best way to tell them apart. The growth choice is most of the times the scariest one. Abraham Maslow once said, "You will either step forward into growth or you will step back into comfort." You kind of need to prove to the universe how much you want the things you envision. And to do so, you need to get uncomfortable.